Welcome back to the Community Well. It is your host, Anna Ayobiojo. I'm excited, y'all. Like I told y'all last week, we're talking about marriage and motherhood and all the things related. I'm bringing y'all some of my people, my tribe. Like, it's gonna be great, and I'm excited. And you know who's first? Yes, she's back. At this point, it's not a surprise. Every series.
We're supposed to wait until we get 5 minutes in.
No.
We can't even hold it, y'all. Well, we tried.
I did the intro.
What's up?
What's up, y'all? It's Petra Pindar. You guessed it. Hi, friend. Why are we
so excited to be back? Thank you for having me.
Of course. At this point, we're just gonna co-host.
No, for real. Y'all, you should comment. You want us to come back again?
Come back again and again.
We could just have the Petra and Anna corner.
No, but stop it.
You know what I mean? Like just like a pop in for a little bit. Think about it.
I like that. The Petra and Anna corner.
I like that. Well, the Anna and Petra corner because it's Anna's show. So, but I'll pop in for like 10, 15 minutes and hang out with y'all and then y'all do your thing.
She wants to make it my show. I was talking about a whole new show where it's us.
Ooh.
The A&P show. I think there's actually a show.
Well, honestly, ours should probably be if you're going to do initials, it probably should be the PA show just because we're loud. Like, you know, the PA systems, it should probably be the PA show.
That part. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a PA show. That's going to be a whole thing.
That's the whole thing. So we'll map that out, y'all. We'll be back.
We'll let you know. That's the
thing.
Today, we'll keep on topic, or we'll try anyways. So I know the people already know you, but just in case we have any new listeners, welcome to the family, by the way. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review in advance because it's going to be good. Leave 5 stars, please. And you know, all the things, please. So for all of those people that may not know you, let them know who you are and a little bit about your crew.
Sure. So I am Petra Pindar, as Anna was sharing with you. I'm excited to be back. Not much has changed in my resume too much. I'm still an attorney. I still do conflict resolution. I am a faith influencer. That is my thing. I'm a mama. I'm a wife to 3 kiddos. I'm an author. I am a speaker. What else? I do. Oh, I have a nonprofit, PP Inc., where we link women in business and in faith and help them to build sustainable communities. So I do a lot, I guess. But the biggest thing I think for me is being an advocate for Jesus. Like I'm big on him. I'm really, really big on him. So that's what I would say is my little spiel.
That's it. I'm big on him. Everything else is an extension.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
And you are still doing all the things, friend. All the things. And at the end, we'll let y'all know some of the stuff that she has going on. So
yeah. Some of it together, so that's fun.
I know. Listen, lots more to come of that.
Yeah.
So we'll get right into it. Marriage and motherhood. It's like, I mean, that's why we were laughing so hard, because it's always days of like, you know, you just never know what you're gonna get when it comes to like being a wife and a mom and all the things. So what I would say before we get into the struggles, I was going to start with the struggles, but what are your favorite things about being a wife? And then what are your favorite things about being a mom?
You know what, friend? I'm going to pause us real quick. Can we pray before we start this conversation? Because I want to make sure that everything that we're sharing with people is taken in the right spirit. And I know that you and I can be super, super transparent. And so I want to make sure that we kind of set the tone. Can we do that?
Yes. Thank you for being obedient, because I sensed it and we got into our mode and
Same. But I remember we were actually recording us. So
that part, I know, because we can forget.
Yeah. Yeah, and we can flow and we know each other, but because we also are going to be good stewards of your listeners and making sure that we're sharing what they need to hear, let's go ahead and pray if you're okay with that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Father God, in the name of Jesus, thank you right now for peace, for covering, for bringing us together. God, I'm excited about being in your presence. I'm excited about another opportunity to lean into you and to learn from you. Right now, I thank you for discernment. I thank you for peace. I thank you for wisdom. I thank you for every opportunity that you're going to give us through this broadcast to teach of your love, your grace, and your kindness as it comes to wives and children, and just building those communities around us that we need to be successful in those areas. I ask that you guide me and friends' words, that you guide our actions, our gestures, everything that we're doing, that everything brings glory to you. And so it all brings the focus back to you. There are going to be things that we share, God, that we know that you'll give us clearance to share and help us to hold those things that are just for us. But God, we want to make sure that what's going out goes into good ground. So what needs to be sown. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for
Okay.
sharing, friend.
Absolutely. Okay, friend, now you can ask me your question.
All right. So, what are some of your favorite things about being a wife and some of your favorite things about being a mom?
So some of my favorite things about being a wife, we'll start with there, is that I feel that I have a built-in safe space. So one of the things in premarital counseling that was asked to us, he was like, what made you realize that, Rob was the person you wanted to get married to or spend the rest of your life with? And the first answer, and it's still my first answer even now, is that I feel safe with him. It's not about his looks. It's not about the money. It's not about none of that. It's honestly like, yes, I'm really happy that he has a relationship with God. Yes, I'm happy that he's focused and that he's a type A personality. He's a workaholic. I love all of those things about him. But if I am being very honest, it is that I, at my core, feel safest with him. And so to have that built into my household every day, to have this place where I can go and feel safe and recharged and covered is huge for me, especially when you're talking about my mental health, my emotional well-being, my spiritual health, to have a place where I can go and know that I'm not going to be turned away, but I'm going to be nurtured and uplifted. And that what I'm sharing with him is not going to go outside of that. That's really important. So that I would say is the top thing about what I love about being a wife, right? That's the top thing. And having someone who's the opposite of me, even though we're both type A's, we're different type A's. And he consistently reminds me to enjoy life. Friend will tell you, I do things around the clock. And I'm working on that. I am working on that. But he is, while he works a lot, he is also very much so like, you got to take breaks. You have to enjoy life. You have to laugh. You have to do different things. You have to be with your girls. You have to breathe. And so it's really good to have someone who's the opposite. Like, yes, he's focused and he's doing all the things, but he is not the same person, which is really, really good. So he can see those areas that are deficits for me. And then the third thing for me that I love about being a wife is that I know I'm a sure thing. There are times I think that all of us have felt like we weren't enough, or we wouldn't measure up to other people's standards of marriage material or beauty or whatever. But I never doubt that I'm a sure thing for him. And so I love that because it builds me consistently. It consistently builds me. Yeah, so I'm pretty blessed in that area. And my favorite things about being a mom, I'm never getting old, I'll tell you that.
Well, listen.
Children will keep y'all young. Hear me when I say children will keep you young and they will keep you honest. Okay?
That part.
They will keep you young and they will keep you honest. Like, so I will say that that is one of my favorite things. I think also being able to see life differently, like through their eyes, and all the wonder and the joy. Like, I love hearing those stories. I love hearing their perspectives on things. And again, it reminds me not to take myself too seriously because I don't have all the answers. But I have little people that look up to me and who require that I be flexible enough to hear their answers. Right.
Yeah.
That's a thing for me. That's a thing. And I think also probably the third thing that I love the most about motherhood is really learning what grace means for me. I'm never gonna get it perfect.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna get it perfect, but it doesn't change the fact that I was right for this role, right?
Mm.
And that
Yeah.
God trusted me with that. And so that's a huge responsibility, but it's also a huge gift to know that he trusted us with this responsibility. So
Mm.
I'm learning what grace really is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm. That's so beautiful, friend.
Yeah, it's a
All of it.
lot.
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot in many ways, right? It's a lot of goodness. It's a lot of like what
Yeah,
you said, like it's a gift. And
yeah,
it does come with a lot of responsibility, a lot of stretching,
all of it,
all of it.
all
And
of
like,
it.
I love that you shared about that safety that you find in Rob. And
Mhm.
uh, it's so important. And, I do want to acknowledge those that don't feel that sense of safety. And I know it can be hard for some people that are listening. And, you know,
That,
I just want to acknowledge those that don't have the things that we talk about. And we know that obviously we shouldn't compare our lives to other people and um, kind of focus on our grass kind of thing. But for those of you listening, I don't want you to compare your situation. It's like hold space for your own situation while appreciating another person. You know what I mean? Like there can be space for both. I think sometimes we want to
for
be like,
both.
you know what I mean? We want to be like this or that. No, there's space for both. So I just
Yeah,
wanted to acknowledge that because I know I'm going to be doing this series and it's going to be great, but it's
yeah,
going to be difficult for some, wives and moms. And it's not about having it together. But what I heard in a lot of what you shared is like, you all have found like a rhythm and a pace and what works for your family, you know? Would you say that's true?
yeah. I would absolutely agree with it. Especially as my 6-year-old, you know, bombs are called. Yes. So yeah, it's going great. We're
It's
finding
great.
that.
It's amazing. You should have let him say hi.
Yeah. Listen. This is the child who likes to come home, take off his shirt and show his A shirt with his little muscles and likes to ride his motorcycle around town. Like
That's,
it's
that's like my
by
book.
town, I mean our neighborhood, y'all. Like I don't let him drive by himself, but he does have a little motorcycle that he drives to our neighborhood. Y'all,
Best.
yeah, it's a thing. But yeah, I would definitely say that we have found our own pace, our own groove. But you know what, friend? I think what I love about our pace is that it's not set in stone. Like we're
Mhm.
constantly reevaluating it. Like if it no longer serves us, then we just don't do.
Yes.
We just don't do it. And I think I attribute a lot of that to Robbie because he will be like, it's not working. Like, why are you so married to this? Like, yes, it worked for the season. Yes, you like structure and whatever, but it's no longer working. So we have to let that go. And
Yeah.
so I've learned that to be flexible in pace.
That part. So you mentioned flexibility twice.
Yeah.
And I think I've mentioned this before, y'all. It's not as much as people like know me and they're like, oh, you're so easygoing and you're flexible. I'm kind of not.
Right.
Like I can be really like, this is what we're doing, and like we're rocking with this. And
Yep.
then once a pivot and a change has to be made, I'm like, uh, and then I'll get stuck. It takes me a while to pivot, you know what I mean? And I'm learning. God is like, come on, man. Well,
It's
what do you
constant.
think? It's constant. What do you think helps you to like grow and be flexible? Because I know there's different seasons and I can imagine over the years it's looked differently. But what do you think has helped you?
I think that I had to learn that I either allow myself to be stretched so that I don't break, or I remain rigid and I'm going to break. So it literally was like a mindset shift because those things that I'm just like, oh, I can't. He was like, if you don't do it, you're gonna break. It's going to be overwhelming to your anxiety is going to be through the roof, like all of these different things. And so I had to literally make a decision, like, you've got to be malleable. And it doesn't mean that you're totally throwing something away. It means that you're adjusting it piece by piece. So you can take your time with it. You just have to do it. And then I think, I I'm consistently reevaluating things, like for myself, for my family, for my marriage, like all of those things. And then I also write them down. Like, okay, what does this look like? So I'm reevaluating it in my mind. And actually I'll show you, like, I reevaluated in my mind, but then you also have to do some type of dump, right? So, and highlighting those areas that you're dumping out, highlighting those areas that you're wanting to make better. Like you're constantly doing that so that you can review it and you can see why you're doing those things, or not doing those things.
Yes.
So it's a thing. It's a thing because you got to get there. You got to be willing to be stretched a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. And so my friend, God, I thank God for her. She always brings it down to the practical because I'm like, I love the big picture. And I'm like, yeah, that's so good. And I'm like, okay, how do I implement this? Because I def text her with all the things like, okay, so friend, or I'll call her and I'll be like, so it's a practical for me because we need both. Like
Both.
we need to have like that understanding of like what God is doing and scripture and be able to see that from the spiritual lens and be like, okay, boom, something's connecting, because there has to be like an anchor. Sometimes when we have like fuzzy whatever, it's just like, oh, the next day I wake up, I don't feel like doing anything. But when we have an understanding of what God is doing and how he's stretching you, and then boom, bring it with the practical application and moving, because I'll be stuck. I'll just be like, we're just gonna stand right here.
It's hard. It's so difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult because I was that person and I was like, girl, you don't function like this in your real life. So why are you trying to function like this over here?
Yes.
You like lists, you like steps, you like metrics, you like deliverables. Why are you not applying it over here?
Hello.
I mean, I don't function that way. And friend, like, I don't function like that.
Yeah.
I can't. And so when I realized that it's okay to bring that into my home life, things changed for me.
Yes.
Things changed for me.
Listen, I'm gonna go there real quick and then I'm gonna go to the next question. But that is so good because there are skills, gifts, and things that we have to offer in our friendships, in our work life, and all these different things that we can and should be using at home. So I use a lot of coaching in my home because I'm a coach, and so a lot of time I take breaths and I'm like literally looking at them like, how are you leading yourself? And so I'm like, okay, what does that look like in my head if I was leading someone else? Like, what are the questions that I'm asking? And I'm like, okay, so what do you think, buddy? What do you think we should do? What's the solution to this? As opposed to me telling them what they should be doing, making them find the answers.
Yep.
Boom, I'm coaching them. You know what I mean? It's like bringing those things, those gifts and those skills. And one of the things that I had to bring that I bring everywhere else, and I wasn't bringing y'all to my own house, was joy, believe it or not.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Because everybody that looks at me is like, oh,
right.
But I wasn't bringing it into my home because I wanted my home to be like a certain way. Like, you need to do this chore. You need to do that chore. This is not happening at this time. And I was like, oh, and like,
it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. And God was like, you need to bring that joy. That is like your greatest gift. Bring it to your home.
Yes. And I 1,000%. It's true though. It's true. There's so many little things, just like you said, like we just don't bring it into our home for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but it is one of the things that he had to work with me on. You're being rigid in this area. Like you don't want it to come in your house because you don't want it to feel like work. You don't want it to feel like XYZ, but it's not work for you. It's how your mind works.
Yes.
That's the difference. You keep thinking it's work because that's how other people term it, but it's just the way your mind works.
Yes.
And so being stretched in that area, being malleable in that area, and then realizing I either bring it here or I'm going to break. And I hear that when you're saying I wasn't bringing joy, but I was being very much so, which does not make your family space happy.
Right.
Or you.
Or you. And when it's something that comes natural to you and you're going against it,
that's the part.
You're making yourself even more happier, because I'm like, this isn't even me. Like, I'm very like full of joy, and like I love coaching people. Even when I'm not coaching, I'm coaching people. Like,
yeah.
So why wouldn't I be doing this in the place that you spend the most time with the people that matter most?
That's the part. That's the part.
That part, friend. But it is so hard.
Yes.
Talking about difficult things.
Yeah.
All of it is so intricate, complex, and there's so many good things, but so many struggles. What do you think are your greatest struggles when it comes to marriage, and your greatest struggles like when it comes to motherhood?
I would say probably communication. Because I communicate very differently. My brain ticks in a very different way. And so that would be probably the hardest thing. So I'm very clear about certain things. And when I say I'm going to do something, I do exactly that in a specified amount of time. And my expectations, everybody else will do the same. She's laughing because she knows y'all. She knows exactly what I mean. And it's a thing.
Yeah.
And Robbie is not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Just do not speak the same language in that sense. He is very direct. He is very cut and dry, but Robbie had to learn empathy. Robbie had to learn softness. Because for me, the way I respond, the way I do things is because I want you to know that I care about what you've asked me to do or what you're talking to me about, even if you're not asking for something, right? But I want to be as responsive as I can so that you understand that I'm really listening to you and I'm caring about you. For him, it's very much so, I care about you. You already know that. I respond to your question. We good. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh. No, and so it's very, and I'll ask for something very specific and he'll be like, oh, well, I figured you were asking for that, but I think this would be a better choice. So I decided to do this for you instead because I thought this would be helpful. It's not what I said. It's not what I said. I like things again. Yeah, like it's hello. I know exactly what I'm asking you for. I know exactly how long it's going to take you to do it. I know exactly how you're going to deliver it to me. I know what I'm asking you for. And there's a reason, and so I would say that for us, it has been communication. Like Robert is absolutely 1,000% my best friend. But again, Robert and I are very much so opposites. We're both type A. We both work very hard, but that's pretty much where it ends as far as like similarities. We're not the same. We're not the same. So communication is a constant thing that we evaluate and a constant thing that we push to the top of our list to always nurture, because we know that for us, we can get very comfortable with kind of doing our own thing because the other one can fend for themselves in a sense. Like, since I know you aren't going to do it how I want you to do it, I'll just do it.
Me.
You see what I'm saying? Like I'll handle that. Don't worry about it.
Sweetheart.
Don't worry about it, sweetheart. Don't worry about it. I'm that's me.
Same.
Hello, somebody. That's me.
Yeah.
So we are very intentional about that. And when I feel it derailing, I immediately bring it up like, hey, our communication is a little off. We need to take some time and adjust. And I think that the same applies for my children in the sense that my children are very different than I was as a child. And they're also very different from each other. Mm-hmm. So the way that I communicate with them, it varies. And what they need from me varies. My children are very, very vocal though. So they, they'll share like, okay, you got this right, but you didn't get this right, and having to be very plugged in is a lot for them. It's a lot. So communication, I think, would be the same thing, is the most difficult because they're so different from me and they're so different from each other. And so I'm constantly feeling like I'm having to,
Oof.
like it's a constant thing for me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The way I can relate to all of that.
Yeah, it's hard. It's
Yeah.
it's just hard.
It's really hard. And I can definitely identify the same way. Like, it's like Rob and E are very much alike. It's like, you should know. Like, why am I telling you?
Why
You know,
am I telling you this? Mhm.
we're completely different. People meet us and they're like, how are y'all married? Because we're like extreme opposites.
Opposite. Mhm.
Like, I can't
It's-
even explain it. It's like really like, and homie's my best friend. We get along.
yeah.
I'll give you a funny example. Very like that part of me that is extroverted. I'm like, oh, yesterday we started talking in our languages. I'm talking to him in Spanish and he's talking to me in Yoruba.
Uh-huh.
And we are going in and we are laughing because it was hilarious. I was like, I don't know what you're saying, and you don't really know what I'm saying because I'm speaking really fast. And then I was like, and then it was like, when you laugh and you're like, oh, like it's over. And I'm like, we should have recorded that. That would have been so fun. He was like, why? What
Yep.
the moment? Like, because
And
he's
that that's Robbie. Yep. That's
yeah.
1,000%. Yep.
He's like really like reserved. He's like, I'm not taking selfies. I'm not doing like vlogs and all that stuff. You know what I mean? And so that's like a funny example, but that's how we are like all day, every day. We're just very different. And then my little humans, my God, all three of them are so different. And what I heard you say that I can so identify with is being like so in tune where you stop and you're like, okay, with your spouse, like, hey, we're disconnected, let's bring it back.
Yeah.
With the little humans, like, okay, being in tune with them. How do you manage that? Because I know that's so hard for me, because sometimes I get stuck in like my world of like,
Sure.
we're doing, and then you're like, oh, whoa, wait, like bring it back, and if you're not intentional, it can be like that for years. And then you look back and you're like, what happened?
It's been a mess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think for the kids, we have set times where it's just us one-on-one with them. Like I have time with Jack, I have time with Sterls. I always have time with E, but like we have that intentional time. And during that time, the goal is to listen to them, not to teach them anything per se, not to ask them a ton of questions, but to listen and to allow them the time to detox their minds and also to bring us into their space. And so that has helped us to center, because if we miss one, they remind us like, hey, you haven't spent time. What's up? It was my Friday or it was my Saturday and that ain't happened. You know what I mean? And so being intentional about that, but also really being intentional about understanding that mothering is not just mothering, right? It's being a friend, it's being available, it's being a prayer partner, it's being the person that they need for you to be in that moment. And so listening to figure out what that looks like for them.
Yeah.
Because I want to be super intentional about them having their own voice and them feeling comfortable enough to share it with me and to share it with Robbie.
Yeah.
And so that has been a thing. Like we have actual one-on-one times set aside for each of them, and we just rotate weeks.
I love that so much. I love that you said don't ask questions, because I like asking questions. I'm like, and
You know who I learned that from?
Yeah.
Sterling. Sterling told me, he said, you're asking me too many questions. He said, I cannot think. That's what he told. He said, I can't think, mommy. You keep asking me questions. And I said, okay. I said, well, what would you like for me to do? He said, I just want to talk to you. And I said, okay. Yep.
That part. And you said it, that question, what would you like for me to do?
Yes.
And that's a question, again, back to the coaching. I'm thinking, because it's like sometimes you're coaching people and they want coaching, but they don't really want to be coached. That's
right. Good luck with that.
Right. It's a whole different story. I'm not sure what you're here for. Just kidding. Hello. No, but for real, but it's not helpful. Let's just.
Ooh, it's real. And I'm not a coach, y'all. So here we go.
Not formally, anyways. You
finish. You focus.
Bring it back. Okay, so you know, what would you like for me to do? What would you find most helpful? That's something that we can even ask our friends and like, because we're like quick to give advice or like whatever.
Yes.
What do you need? What do you think would be most helpful? Like, I love that. You know,
It's a thing. It's a thing because you can't decide it for somebody else.
you can't decide it for someone else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that goes back to what I'm learning with Robbie, like helping him to understand, like, I know that you want to care for me. I know you want to do these things for me, but I asked you for something specific because that's actually what I need or what I want in that space. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
be
so
very
you just,
clear with that. Yeah.
yeah, you have to get very, very clear.
Yeah. That's so good. And not getting offended to my
Mhm.
folks that have preteens and teenagers, because now my preteen's favorite is, I'd like some space. I'm like, okay.
It's a thing. It's hard though,
It's so hard.
but it's real.
It's real. And then he'll come back. He'll be like, I'm like, what do you need? And he's like, I want to sit here and eat, sunflower seeds and watch Fuller House.
And
Bet
that's it.
I'm here. Again, back to flexibility.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's a thing, friend. That's a thing.
Yeah.
So listen, with all the things that you have going on, all the things that you have going on, marriage, motherhood, all the different titles and roles, how do you
Mhm.
balance everything? I use the word balance because it's what we most commonly use, but I don't like it because, I think there's a flow and a season to everything. But how do you balance everything?
I think that I have to figure out what my priority is for that day, that week, that month, because my priorities shift, right? So I think that's what you're talking about when you're talking about flow. So identifying my priorities early, communicating those priorities to the people that it's going to impact, right? So it could impact my household or it could impact my business. It could impact my 9 to 5, but communicating those things early so they can adjust their expectations because my priorities are not changing. Right. So adjusting the expectations accordingly is key for me to be able to do what I need to do effectively. Right. And so I balance by prioritizing. And I keep mini calendars, many, many, many calendars. I have a desk calendar. I have a work calendar that's on my computer. I have the paper calendar that I was showing you guys a second ago. I have my phone calendar that I keep on my phone. I have my business calendar, and everything goes into it.
Yeah.
Literally everything, even if it is a 15-minute call, like it needs to be on there. Like today, there was a meeting that that had popped up, and it happened not to be for me, but the people around me have learned if there's going to be something that's going to impact me, I need to have some type of notification. Period. I mean, I need to sit in on the call. I don't need to be in the meeting, but I need to know what's happening so that when I circle back, I know what I'm circling back about, right? So I think it really is identifying their priority early, making sure that I'm communicating that so people can adjust their expectations, keeping the calendars that I need to keep me straight about what I'm doing, but then also, again, having this sense of flexibility. So being able to say, hey, this was what my thought was. I'm not going to be able to execute it in this way. I need to adjust. Can you adjust with me? And if they cannot, find the people that can.
That part.
Okay. That's how we do things over here. Because before, I did not adequately communicate certain things and I was doing all of the things. And so I was getting burned out. I was getting overwhelmed, and people, oh, everything is going so perfectly. This and this is being executed so well, but I am completely drained. I am completely overwhelmed. My household is on E. Like my marriage is on E. My children are on E because I'm doing all of these extra things and I have not prioritized my things or the things that matter to my household, but I prioritize everybody else's. And so readjusting that.
Yeah.
It's a thing, but it really requires intentionality. It really requires knowing what your boundaries are, addressing what your capacity is and what your margins are. Like all of those things are key. Because if you don't do that, and if you don't do it often, you'll miss the mark for yourself and for the people that you think you're trying to help. So
there was that. God. So you said something, I think, especially as women who are leaders,
Yeah.
and y'all know all the things that y'all do, whether it be ministry, entrepreneurship, even as a stay-at-home mom. I love to include stay-at-home moms because you are a leader. You have a lot.
Hello.
Like we think because we're stay-at-home moms, like when I was a stay-at-home mom, it'd be like, oh, you're just a stay-at-home mom. I'm like, nah,
Not even close.
not even close. Wearing all the hats, doing all the things. So even talking to y'all, like when we are leaders and we have so much going on and all the things, like it can be kind of easy to forget about the fam and the household. And so when you mentioned the running on E part, I felt that because it can happen. What's the first thing you do when you feel like your family and your marriage is running on E?
Say the last part again, friend.
So when you feel like your marriage and your family, like they're running on E, what's like the first thing you do to kind of shift?
Clear my calendar. I have them for a reason, so I can know what I'm clearing.
Yeah.
Like legit. Like I clear it. Like, okay. And again, because I've identified things early, I plugged in the right people early. I can shift things to them like, hey, not gonna be able to execute this the way that I thought I was going to. So what do I need to do? How do we need to do this? And then finding the people that'll help me to do it and will help me to adjust, right? Because it's not necessarily these projects go away, but I clear myself from the execution. Because I think that it's super important to immediately respond, because it brings value to my words, right? That's the action. And so clearing the time and then making time, right? So what is it that you need me to do? You're feeling like we're on E. I feel like we're on E. I know that I need a nap. What do you need? Like, what does that look like for you? How do we get this together?
Yeah.
Right. So I can take my 30-minute nap, but you need an hour to just hang out with me. Okay, cool. So I can do that, this, and this.
Yeah.
And I think that those are the ways that I respond to being on E. I also I communicate if there's times that I can't. Like I don't pretend and I don't dismiss their feelings. But if there's literally something that I cannot, like if I cannot get this off, like this is something that's, I gotta finish this, I immediately address, I understand that you are feeling like this. I understand that. I do have this to take care of. If you will give me the space to do that, we can do this, and this immediately after, or we can do it right before. But I need the time to do this because I cannot adjust this. And communicating that clearly.
Yeah.
And what I can do.
Yep. And that is healthy boundaries.
Hello.
That's like, that was like the perfect depiction because I think that many times people read about the boundaries and like all that, but don't really know how to execute them or haven't seen them executed, except especially for those people that come from unhealthy family backgrounds where it wasn't taught. You either had no boundaries or you had really rigid walls because they're not even boundaries, so they have no idea how to implement that. And I love that you said that it's clearing everything because that shows them too that you are, because we say you're the most important thing to me and you're really important, but we don't really show it. There's no action. You know what I mean?
That's exactly it.
So boom, to put it plainly, clear the calendar. Like you are important.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And also, mommy is a whole person and there's some things that I can't.
Yo, y'all want these bills paid or not?
Or not. Listen, they'll tell you real quick, nah, cancel it. And then you'll be like, well, then I can't buy you this, X, Y. Nah, it's okay. Just
go on back your way now. Go on now. You need to be early to work. You need to be early.
Right. See you later. But that's the whole thing.
It is. It's a thing.
It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. And, talking about being a person, like a whole Petra. Before you are a wife, a mom, all the things, you are Petra. And I know, man, we go through so much change because we step into the role that first year of marriage. Hello. And then we have children. My God, that postpartum period
Yeah,
and like, the whatever trimester, because there's just layers to
all of them.
all of it, that first year of having that child. And then you go into like the daycare and like there's always like these shifts that have to happen because things are constantly changing. Like, how do you feel like you preserve your identity as Petra?
Mm, I think I've gotten better with that. I would not say that I've mastered that yet. And I'm not, honestly, friend, I'm not sure that it has anything to do with my role as a wife and a mom. I think it has to do with the way that I respond to people and expectations and how I place unreasonable expectations on myself. I don't know that it's because of those two areas. So I try to be very careful, if that makes sense, because I have realized a lot of how I was raised. Um, I want to be careful. I love my parents and my parents were incredible. Like they raised me well. I'm thankful for all of those things, but there is a very real reality that I find it very hard if I feel that I have not completed or done or perfected. It is very difficult for me. Um, in a very, very real sense. And that is before wife, mom. And so I am in this season of my life, even learning what Petra likes because I don't know that I've known for 30 plus years because that was not an option.
Ooh,
That's just and again, I'm not in any way shading my parents because I do not think that that was their intent. My parents were raised a certain way.
yeah.
And if you have a child that naturally is an overachiever and is naturally family oriented and is naturally someone who wants to get things done, then you do lean on them and you do create expectations, even if they're not spoken, they're what's applauded, right?
Whew.
And so, yeah. So honestly, friend, I'm not sure that I can answer that question for you because I have not perfected that area, but it's not because of being a mom and a wife. It's because I'm still learning who Petra is and what Petra likes. I know that I like tacos.
Ooh, I love tacos
I
too,
like I
friend.
love tacos. Like and I'll tell you, and I say that and it's so funny to me. I did not realize that tacos was my favorite food until about a year ago.
Whew.
Like legit. Like so fully transparent. Like this is a thing that I am still learning. I think that I am still unpacking and embracing.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, when it was first brought to my attention, my response was none of that matters. I don't have to like anything. I don't have to have anything that's for me.
Yeah. Friend, you're about to make me cry. I felt that so deep in my soul, and I appreciate your vulnerability and transparency always. Like that's the guaranteed thing I know I can get from you.
Oh yeah.
Because because we relate, and I know there's so many people out there that relate. It's taken such a long time. It's like, what do you even like? And some people attested to their roles as a mother, a wife. Other people, it's just a thing. you know
Mhm.
for me it was both.
Oh,
I
yeah. Yeah.
wasn't allowed to be me, and I was shut down because I am a lot. I am extra, and it's like, no, 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 fit in this box. Like, you're doing a lot. And then when I got married and had a baby, it was like the people pleasing and prioritizing other people. So I would prioritize my husband, and not even prioritize them in a healthy way, because there's a healthy way,
I know
and
what
then
you mean. Yeah.
like they became my life, and
Yeah.
that became my identity, especially like as a nurturer, because again, that's what's
Mhm.
applauded, right? I took care of
Mhm.
other people. So now stepping into these roles, I'm just taking care of y'all, and like that's it. Like, what is there to me? Like, you know what I mean? So It's taken a long time and we're still on this journey, friend. Like,
It's the
still
thing.
on this journey. What do I like to do? What do I like to do? And are you doing the things that you like to do?
And okay, that's this. Yes, that's the real part of it, right? Mhm. That's the part of it. What is that? What does that look like to you?
Yeah. Yeah. Friend, I feel like that could be like a whole thing.
Listen, the PA show for real.
No, for real, for real. That's a whole thing because that's layered.
It's a thing. It's a thing. It's a thing because it has definitely impacted the way that I do life in my home. Because I mean, it goes back to what I was telling you about, like the way that Robbie and I communicate. I do things because I believe it shows the way I care,
Mhm.
the way I'm available to people. So I'm always immediately doing. There's always, you say this, okay, handled. You want this, done. That's that's a part of it.
Yeah.
But it's not reciprocated in the same way. And it's not because I'm unloved.
Yeah.
That's not the thing. Right. So understanding that and unpacking that and where does that come from and how long have you been that way? And for me, and again, this is me, this is from toddler. This is not
Yeah.
from being Robbie's wife or being Jack, Sterling, and Evie's mom. It's not from that. It
Mm.
is literally from being a toddler and being told, okay, you won't be able to do X, Y, and Z in your life, and then overcoming that and perfecting those things and being an overachiever and constantly showing up and showing out. And again, guys, don't take this the wrong way, but it really stems from a lot of other things. A lot. Like even going to law school. I don't even know if a friend and I have talked about this. I was miserable in law school. Miserable. Like 1,000, like I think only my god sister knew. Like I was like, if I could quit this, I would be done. I don't like anything about this.
My
I
God.
love nothing about this. But because there was an expectation and
Mm.
because I did well, like very well, it was like, of course you want to do this.
Man,
So here we are.
here we are.
Hmm?
But the beautiful part is that now we're self-aware. And even if we're not
Yes.
fully there, because I'm like, when you were talking about like, it doesn't stem from being a wife and a mom, you can easily like even put it on Rob. Like,
Yeah.
Robbie, this is on you. I'm just gonna put this on you. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? When we're
Yes.
not aware, sometimes we're like, oh, it's the other person.
Mhm. That.
No,
That.
it,
No,
it's you. It's me.
it's me.
It's
It's 1,000% me. And unpacking that and but also embracing what that looks like, right?
yeah.
Because I don't think I'm a horrible person. I do not think that. I think that there are things that I have to unlearn
That
before I can answer your question about what does Petra like and what does Petra want. I don't know fully who Petra is.
yeah.
I know her better. I know her better. And I think that that's been one of the best things about these past 2 years. Like I would say that I'm in the best space that I've been in,
Mm,
but I would not say that I have fully learned her. I just know her better.
yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah. That part. That whole last part. The unlearning and knowing her better.
Mhm. Mhm.
I love that so much, friend. Love that so much. So, are there like two scriptures or one scripture that help you in your journey of marriagehood and marriagehood, marriage, marriagehood, marriagehood?
Ooh, it can be the hood. It can. Uh, hello, somebody. Okay, so I'll be good, friend. I'll be good. I'll be good. I'll be good.
We held it
I'm gonna
together
try.
for a while.
We did.
We did
Okay, we
good.
did. For real, for real. We did really good. I'm proud of us. If no one else is,
And no one else is. We'll just pat each other on the back.
I feel good about it. I feel good about it. So for marriage, I would say Genesis 2:24. And I pulled it up. That is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. This one is really good for me because again, it's a reminder that he's my safe space, but that we're also the same team. So anything that's happening, anyone else that's around us, they are not a part of this, right? So he made a conscious decision to leave everything and everyone to make something with me.
Yeah.
And that to me is always grounding and always stabilizing, because when things are happening, and again, I mean, Robbie and I have a very, very, very good marriage and relationship. But when there are moments where I'm like, I feel as though I'm alone, he's always reminding me, you can't be alone because we're together always. Like it's impossible. Like it's absolutely impossible. Like you feel like you're out on an island, but the reality is if you're on the island, I'm on the island. And even if you don't see me, it's because I'm the sand, or because I'm the water, or because I'm the palm tree. And so he tells me these things. He's like, it doesn't matter if you don't see me physically, they're with you. I am. And I think that to me is what I always come back to that.
I love that so much.
It's a thing for me. And so then if we're talking about my motherhood one, this one, there's a couple of them, but I'm going to use this one. So Proverbs 8, or Proverbs 1, verse 8 through 9. Listen, my son, to your father's instruction. Don't neglect your mother's teaching, for they are a graceful wreath on your head and beads for your neck. And this one for me is good because it reminds me to do the things that are worth emulating. It reminds me every time, because I don't want my kids listening to foolishness. I don't. I just don't. And so it's a really, how I am. Like, I don't want y'all listening to that junk. If I said something crazy, it's crazy. And child. So I always want that as a reminder, as a reminder to always do and say the things that they can emulate and that they can put into practice. I want to really be someone that they can look back to and then look to, right? So when I'm gone, they can tell people, my mom, she really said what God told her to say. And when she screwed up, she said she screwed up. But more importantly, there was value to her words because of her actions. And I think that's the part for me. And that while I'm still living, they can come to me and they can trust that I'm going to give them profitable teaching.
That is rich, friend.
That's where I'm at.
Is dropping mics and then just like, that is it.
Y'all, I'm on my second cup of coffee, okay?
And it's like, what time is it?
Y'all, it's a thing.
It's a thing. I'm actually about to get coffee. That's
See?
I have to make it through bedtime by myself tonight. Send prayers. Thanks.
All the prayers. I might just fast for you because I'm
real thing. Like,
girl, I don't know.
I'm like, why do you have to go?
I felt bad because I'm like, I'm gonna be running into 2 more meetings, but you talking about, no, I ain't gonna be able to do that. I ain't gonna be able to do that.
Listen, it's a thing. I'm already like thinking about it. Anyway, listen, and thank you so much for coming on. As always, you just deposit so much into the well and into me. Like, I love talking to my friend. Like, I'm always like, oh, like friends that fill you up, and I'm like, I feel full. Like, I can go do this bedtime tonight. I can go, like, do whatever, because your friends should fill you up in a way where you're like, man, I got wings. I could do this. You know what I mean? And you do that for me, friend. And I'm so grateful that you poured into the well. And I'm so excited about all the things. Do you want to quickly share what you have coming up and where the people can find you?
Yes. So we have the Hey Pretty Day on May 21st in Ocala, Florida from 11 to 3, y'all. I'm so excited. Anna is going to be there. She's one of our speakers. Yo, Janae, Lindria, the girls are bringing the heat. We're going to be talking about mental health, emotional health, body positivity, self-awareness, self-worth, all the things. We're just gonna have a really, really good time. It's gonna be a thing. We'll probably cry a lot. We'll laugh even more, and we're gonna grow even more than that. So I'm very excited about that. So you guys can get your tickets for that at petrapindar.com/events. But more importantly, to connect with me so I can get to know y'all better, you can find me under Petra Pindar on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Those are the areas where I'm at. I think I'm more active on Instagram than any other place. So definitely follow me there and join the YouTube community because I want to grow. I have a lot of interesting things coming, a lot.
And all the
So I'm
people you
excited about
already
that.
have, don't miss, the pretty
No,
good coffee every morning. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be
it's,
listening to this as I get ready, just gathering me.
it's a thing. Now that I do love pretty good coffee every Monday at 10:30.
Yes.
Every Monday at 10:30. Yes, that's my baby.
Yeah, it's so, so good, y'all. Check her out. And y'all, we'll be back next week with another episode. I love y'all. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.